opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, Dr. Rita Kachmann. Welcome to our diabetes show tonight. It's stopping, preventing, reversing type 2 diabetes. So first I need to explain to you the difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 1 pancreas no longer makes insulin. It used to be that type 1 was mainly found in children. Autoimmune disease, something in your body destroys the pancreas, whether it be a virus or bacteria from your gut. No one knew for certain. But now so many of the type 2 diabetics become type 1 when the pancreas dies out from overwork. So the biggest number really is the ones from type 2. But the type 1, where they need insulin replacement. It was thought mainly autoimmune, your own body's attacking the pancreas. But I tell you, one cause of it is drinking milk. Yeah, it's well known. I find many providers don't bring that up, but breast milk is meant for human babies. Cow's milk is meant for baby cows. It causes the antigens in breast milk can attack our own pancreas and cause some type 1 diabetes. That's in the literature. Another one is gluten. The protein in barley and wheat can do this, where because of holes in your gut, antibodies appear and they attack the pancreas and can cause diabetes too. So gluten testing, for example, avoiding milk can help avoid the type 1. But the most common one, in which we'll discuss today, mainly is type 2 diabetes, where the majority of the people, 75% of them, you can get a good idea just by looking at them, is that they're overweight. Matter of fact, belly measurement is an excellent test for diabetes. Yeah, if you look at something called the metabolic syndrome, that's used to catch people on the way to diabetes, and at the crosshairs of it is something called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. It's that if you take a human cell, they have on them receptors. Kenneth Pert discovered them 1971 or so. And these receptors are so full of fat that insulin cannot get sugar into the cell for energy. See, the insulin uses the receptors, door openers, to get sugar in for energy to make ATP. And by the time people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which is when they have an elevated blood sugar, okay? But that's not what we are testing for. We are testing most of the time for blood sugar, but the serum insulin, the one that drives it in there, is elevated for a long time before the blood sugar is elevated. So why are we not testing for serum insulins? I don't know. And it's a big mistake. That's what I encourage people to do, is to get serum insulin testing. One way is through a glucose tolerance test. Mark Hyman wrote a book called Blood Sugar Solutions. You can print off his stuff, incidentally, off online too. He's written many books. Eat Fat, Be Thin, that's another book. And How to Speak to Your Doctor by Mark Hyman, 72 pages or so. You can print it off the internet. But I have right here the method of testing that he describes, because testing is important. I want you to catch it early. I think kids need to be checked for diabetes. Many kids are having it now. And to me, which is not being done. I think blood testing should start at age 1 or 2 and put it on a computer or a book and keep track of your children and see what happens over the years. And you can catch illnesses much sooner and prevent them. The trouble is we're diagnosing people today with blood sugars, and by this time they were 200 pounds, 250, 300 pounds. Say, oh, you got diabetes. When in reality, they were pre-diabetic for 10, 15 years. Their bodies are having the changes of diabetes, but we don't see it from the outside, but the changes are occurring. Vascular disease, unannounced heart attacks. They grab their chest and they die. Oh, what did they die from? Oh, I had a heart attack. Well, odds are they were pre-diabetic and diabetic a long time before that. But 25% of the people who have type 2 diabetes are thin. They're the trophies. Thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. The fat's in their organs. It's in the liver and interferes with sugar and fat metabolism and the type 2 diabetic. So the blood tests really are very important. What are the most important blood tests to screen? I could be pre-diabetic, but you got a pot belly, you're probably diabetic. At least you're pre-diabetic, you got to prove it to me that you're not. If it jiggles down there, I bet you're pre-diabetic, get the right test. They say, oh, your blood sugar's normal. And you say, well, I want a serum insulin. Tell your doctor. You saw it on Mark Hyman's thing on the internet, the 72 pages I spoke about, or you can pick up a copy of this paper I have right here at the Three Rivers Pharmacy, where I see people for free, especially for diabetes on Friday mornings like I did today. I saw 3 type 2 diabetics, 1 pre-diabetic who's going to be rid of her disease probably 6 weeks. I mean it, about 6 weeks, because I taught her how to eat properly, encouraged her to read a certain cookbook, which I'm going to show you later, and to educate her about pre-diabetes. That lady only needs to lose 15 pounds. I bet you 6 weeks she don't have pre-diabetic anymore. Her HbA1c was elevated, not a lot, but it was definitely in the pre-diabetic range. A good time to see me, so we can prevent, stop, reverse. But what Mark Hyman did is put it into about 6 stages. In stage 1, for example, you run a blood test on a person, and the blood sugar is normal, okay? And then you get a serum insulin, and the serum insulin is elevated. That's stage 1. Normal blood sugar, elevated serum insulin. We have caught you very early. Interesting. Actually, this where you're staging was in the Atkins, original Atkins book. You know, you see people in the books and they kind of badmouth Atkins. That's wrong. He was the first one to put it in different stages based on 72 papers of Dr. DeFranco, the famous diabetic specialist in the world out of Texas. He did the stages, the 5 stages. I think it's quite good. In the end, he recommended to overeat meat, which I don't agree with, but the first one to stage it was Dr. Atkins. I give him a lot of credit. And a lot of people think he died from type 2 diabetes. No, he died when he slept on the ice in New York City. I know that for certain. So stage 2 is elevated levels of fasting insulin. Insulin's elevated now with a perfectly normal blood sugar after glucose challenge test. Glucose tolerance test. The insulin level is elevated, and the blood sugar is still normal. The third stage is elevation of the blood sugar and the insulin after glucose drink 30 minutes later. So it's in staging, depending on whether you are swallowing sugar or not. very, and this is on this piece of paper. Another good one, Wes Youngberg, and I have his book here, Goodbye Diabetes. That sound? Goodbye Diabetes. A lot of type 2 diabetics don't know that. I know a lot of people go to diabetic educators and stuff, and all they're doing is renewing the medication. No one brings this up. You can say goodbye type 2 diabetes 90% of the time in about 6 to 8 weeks. This is not the only book that says that. I'll show you some more, okay? And West Youngberg went to the island of Guam, where the Japanese had flattened the island, killed off all the farming. And the natives, it was gorgeous people you ever saw. I have pictures of them, actually, in the book. And now they had to eat American food, which was imported in spam. 95% became diabetic within 5 years. Probably sooner than that, but the job was almost complete. So West Youngberg went there through the Almond Society for 15 years to straighten the island out. And his method of testing was summarized, and now the Kaiser Permanente Institute in California and other places accepted that way of testing. So it has, you know, it was legitimized. And that's on this also. And what he's in essence saying is stages 1 through 5, like fasting blood sugar, 85 to 94 is stage 1, 95 to 99, stage 2. Stage 3, 100 to 109, pre-diabetes. That's what we normally tell people, then they're pre-diabetic. And then 110 to 125, advanced pre-diabetic, and 126, they're diabetic, okay? You see the path? And it has other things mentioned, too, about glucose tolerance test. But also a good way, you could almost run it yourself. Swallow a certain amount of sugar, go to the drugstore, find out a way to test yourself for blood sugar. And a good one would be 2 hours later would be blood sugar 100 to 119 would be high blood sugar. So there are different ways for testing it, but it's all on here. And it's very important. Don't just accept, oh, your blood sugar is normal and you're overweight or you're a TOFI. Another good test is triglyceride. That's the fat that's on here that causes insulin resistance. Triglyceride, HDL, the heavenly cholesterol, your good cholesterol ratio. Okay, triglyceride, HDL ratio. That's a good one too. But don't just accept, like I see some screening going on at the factories. The guy weighs 280. It's, oh, blood sugar is normal. You don't have diabetes. Don't accept it. I even saw the pharmacy school doing it. Yeah, saw a lady who clearly you could tell with your eyes that she was diabetic or pre-diabetic. Your blood sugar is normal, honey. No, I didn't accept that. I didn't accept it. I even went to the pharmacy school to see if I could change that. That didn't work out. Yeah, it's the truth of the matter. She's got pre-diabetes, and one day she may grab her chest and die of a heart attack. 50% of heart attacks occur without a warning, no angio, nothing. They just grab their chest and they die. That's the reason I want you to get tested very early. We can prevent all that, okay? And then, incidentally, our president, while he was running in the still running in the primary, announced his blood sugar was 99 and he weighed 230. What do you think? Pre-diabetic, at least. Follow-up test indicate he's weighing more, and the doctor, I don't think, was too truthful about the blood sugar. He didn't mention it at all. Matter of fact, I tried to find out. So what do you think? And I'm picking parties. I'm just talking reality here. And you know, remember what I said? You get there's a belly on you. You're probably pre-diabetic. So belly measurement is important. We talked about metabolic syndrome, the path to it. So crosshairs, insulin resistance. So one is belly measurement. Your chest in a man should be bigger than the belly, and a woman, the pelvic should be bigger than the belly. Those ratios are important, but that can tell you blood sugar is belly measurement, okay, without spending a lot of money. So get tested if any of the things. Remember, it's a judgment-free zone. I just care about your future. Let's talk about the future if you don't get these things corrected. And that's a little worrisome. Again, I have a copy of this available at the pharmacy. And actually, if you see me in person, I have a big display on one side of the wall because I think it's so important. If you develop pre-diabetes or diabetes, you're eligible for blindness, retinal disease, increased rates of cataracts, and strokes and dementia. Most of Alzheimer's disease, they call it a disease, is due to diabetes type 2. And the reason is a female doctor from Yale University 3 years ago published a paper on the IDE enzyme, insulin degrading enzyme. Published a paper on that. And what it is, that enzyme's job to get rid of the insulin you got. So if you're running high insulin level from pre-diabetes, diabetes, that enzyme is very busy. And most of it, if not all of it, gets used up. Guess what its other job is? You wouldn't believe it. Is to degrade, metabolize, remove amyloid. That's a cause of Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. So people are pre-diabetic, diabetic, they can get Alzheimer's disease. The chemistry is slightly more complex than that, but that's the basis here. So most of memory problems, 70% or so, are due to diabetes. So what do you think we should be concentrating on the most? For Eli Lilly to develop a drug to cure it, which ain't going to happen, or for us to prevent, stop, reverse type 2 diabetes, and we can get immediate results. What do you think? I go for immediate results and do the research at the same time. I'm not against research. I'm just saying I know something we do something about. And if they discover one drug that'll cure the whole thing down the line, congratulations. I predict in 10 years, we still won't have the answer. Did you notice 2 pharmaceutical companies recently, after spending $1 billion each, threw in the towel on Alzheimer's research? They did. It was in the paper. I read it. Let's go down the line again further about possible complications. Thyroid disease. Remember I said unannounced heart attacks. Some people get warnings, some don't. High blood pressure. Liver disease. Fatty liver is common with diabetes. Vascular disease all over the body. Neuropathy, numbness in the hands and feet. Multiple cancers. Yeah, insulin doesn't just put sugar in the cell. It also stiffens the arteries, causes dementia, increased rates of inflammation, arthritis, about 10 different things. I could go on and on what insulin does. So you want to keep your insulin level low. Even type 1 diabetics, if they don't eat right, can decrease their longevity, and many do. Many type 1 diabetics die in their 40s and 50s when they could live to be 100. Like I know a doctor who ate right and exercised, he lived to be 102. He had type 1 diabetes. It can occur, but you got to act. You got to eat right. So just to throw in insulin pumps or something like this, and eat anything you want to, and then you put in more insulin. Well, you may be living on 100 units of insulin a day when you could be living on 10 units if you eat a nutrient-dense way of eating. Increasing rates to continue on this path here, increasing rates of impotency, usually 3 years before diagnosis. There are sexual problems in males, which still sometimes can be reversed, so to act on it. In vascular disease and amputations are common in diabetics. You see somebody with a leg amputated, unless they were a Marine or something, many times it's diabetes. Most of the time it is. I was in Chicago recently, visited Cook County Hospital to meet the wellness doctor there because he was on a DVD. I was watching Forks Over Knives, and Dr. Adams was on there, and he was just great. And I thought I'd go visit him. So I came in the night before and went to a movie to spend the time because I wanted to be there the next day on time. And I noticed that movie theater that they had 5 lines, 20 parking spots steep of disability. And when the movie was out, I walk out, they were all filled. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? And I bet you every one of those people, diabetic. That's the reality. Instinct. The doctor I visit, as great as I thought he was, had never been to that movie theater, so he did not know that. Yeah, he did not know that. And then I laid out my books for him. He read every damn one of them, except one, sitting disease. That's kind of important. A lot of type 2 diabetes and obesity related to sitting too much. He says, my God, he said, I sit all day, 10 hours a day sometimes. I said, well, you need to get up and move around and do a little exercise. He had a beautiful office, and I take tap dance lessons. So I taught him how to tap dance. New York, New York. He called me recently and said, on the hour, he does about 3-5 minutes of New York, New York. Now he's doing singing in the rain in that beautiful office. I mean, don't you love that story? I really like Dr. Adams, head of public health, Chicago. Very interesting. So another good book to read is End of Diabetes by my friend Dr. Furman. He was in town recently, stayed at my house actually. He spoke at the First Assembly Church, and he teaches nutrient-dense eating. 70-80% of the time, he's not vegetarian or vegan. I'm neither. He called it nutritarian, eating nutrient-dense food. Foods for the vitamins, minerals, nutrients. That's vegetables and fruit. 70-80% of the time. A little bit of chicken, a little bit of turkey. You can't eat steak 7 days a week, expect to be healthy, okay? So you can eat some meat, and for example, exercise a little bit. Him and I played tennis the morning of the lecture, came to a tie. A few years ago, I actually beat him. I think he came to town just to play me tennis. I really think so, because he totally insisted on playing before the lecture. We almost were late for the lecture. And about Dr. Furman, his book, End of Diabetes, great book, absolutely great book. Matter of fact, when he wrote it years ago, I reviewed it for him and wrote a few words, and my name's on the back of the book. I didn't write the book, he wrote the book. But my name's on it, and I'm proud that I agree with what he's done. He's world famous all over the world in a great way. If you use a combination of his book and Wes Youngberg's book, and then I wrote one too, Secret Reversing Type 2 Diabetes. I wrote one, use this combination, and I'll show you some of my other ones a little bit. Here's one I label because I meant it. The new slavery. The new slavery is sugar. We're a slave to sugar. That's what's causing this. And when you look at the cover, the hands and handcuffs holding up to the donuts, that's what's causing diabetes, okay? While I was writing this book, I was sort of getting madder by the minute because we're enabling the disease by writing scripts all the time instead of telling the people, you got to get rid of the disease. I'll see you back in a month and see if you lost it. You don't need to lose a lot of weight, just 8% of your body weight maybe, and you go away. And instead, we're handing these scripts. And not much spoke about wellness. I want to get rid of your disease. I know a lot of diabetic educators and some are even friends of mine, and their husbands or brothers are managing their disease. No, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. So again, I was getting a little more excited about this. Excuse my love for you, okay. The scam, the racket, the fraud. I mean, type 2 diabetes is a scam. It's a racket and fraud because 50 diseases are attached to it. That's the trouble. They'll say, you know, heart attacks, vascular disease, the biggest cause of illness. No, it's type 2 diabetes is the biggest cause of illness. Type 2 diabetes causes vascular disease, causes strokes, causes dementia, causes thyroid disease, causes things resulting in neuropathy and amputations. That's the #1 cause of illness. We get rid of type 2 diabetes, 50 diseases will go away. Don't you think maybe this is an epidemic and that we should develop a little bit of passion to get rid of it. So, like I said, I got a little brutal there. The scam, the racket, the fraud. It's being promoted on you. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. This is what I say. So, if you don't do a lot of reading, a lot of people don't, including doctors like in books, buy one book, a cookbook. Here it is, Eat to Live. I have no financial interest in this, but I've had many patients, even today, saw a pre-diabetic, and she likes to read, she likes to cook. I said, read that book by Furman and get his cookbook, The Quick Fix. You can turn any page. He has pictures of the meals, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and I say have a smoothie every day full of nutrients, vitamins, minerals. Get a NutriBullet or something, $100, and every morning you have a smoothie. And make sure you're not, always put some nuts in there too, make sure you're not allergic to anything. It fills your nutrient need, you won't be so hungry. And here he has one, lemon herb cauliflower rice, okay? Every one of these recipes I recommend. And tofu meatball, you know, it's a soy product. Smoothies, snacks, it's all in here. I told the young lady I saw today that pre-diabetic. I saw the why where I play pickleball and started speaking to me. Pre-diabetic, you know, blood sugar is elevated a bit, needs to lose maybe 15 pounds. I told her 6 weeks, you won't have diabetes. And I think she would do it. She's a motivated individual. In summary, what I'm saying is get that serum insulin, glucose tolerance test, run the proper test, participate in your health care, and then 70–80% nutrient-dense way of eating. Read any of these books, my books. If you want to see somebody in person, come see me at the pharmacy Friday morning, Sheila Walker, 373-1073, make an appointment. I'll see you for free, no charge. I'll educate you on this, and I'll see you once a month till your illness is gone, but you're not just getting rid of diabetes, you're getting rid of 50 other diseases because they will not occur because you don't have diabetes. So to me, it's an epidemic. The biggest epidemic we have is not Ebola or some other thing. The biggest epidemic we have is pre-diabetes and diabetes, and I know how to get rid of it. These authors I mentioned, and I know some others too, that show you how to do it. Nothing fancy, no calorie restriction, just a matter of taking a walk, dance to a little bit of music, eat the right food. In about a month, 2 months, you won't have it. Live to be 100. Attend my lectures at Lutheran Hospital once a month. In Warsaw, I do it once a month now. Go to Facebook, Kachmann. Also, I'm on this public access TV, 6:30 Mondays, 6 o'clock Wednesdays, Comcast 57. Always on Subbing on Health, all for free. See me at the pharmacy for free. Go to Amazon, look at books. Look at Facebook, Kachmann Mind Body Institute. And I always have some posts on there to help you out. I got one there now on CBD oil recently. I'm going to do a new one on smoking coming up. And actually the one posting I'm going to do shortly is I'm dressing up as the Grinch to get kids to pay a little more attention on the smoking thing. Anyway, I do this because I care about you. And join me and attend our talks, give me a hug, talk to me, and tell me, ask questions. And I'll gladly answer them for you. But I'm sort of on the mission of prevention, type 2 diabetes being number one. But our addictions are there too, and gluten and different things. You can see on YouTube off my websites, 1 hour lectures, 500 different ones. Okay, it's a busy mind. We love you. Thanks very much for watching this show.